This film wasn't made as a fundraising film, but Comic Relief Red Nose Day will be happening in 1 week's time. And if you would like to make a note of this number and make a donation so we can continue the work, please do so. The lines are open now and will remain open over the next week. Thanks very much.
A few days ago, Chris Moon, who appeared in that film, was seriously injured while clearing landmines. He's now in a stable condition in hospital, but one of his Mozambican colleagues, Armando Celestino, was killed in the same operation.
An unusual and poignant story about artist Jack Pakenham.
My mother was a Catholic, my father was a Protestant. Unfortunately, my mother died about 3 weeks after I was born.
He was sent to a home when 4.
I could never understand how 3 or 4 boys could terrorize the rest of us to such an extent.
Jack's paintings are not so much about the troubles, but about the troubled people.
An artist's return journey revealed. This Wednesday evening at 11 on BBC1 Northern Ireland.
With an aversion to long prison sentences, a plea of insanity puts conman Richard Pryor into a psychiatric ward instead, in critical condition at 1:05. And Oscar-winning comedy now on BBC1 with Anne Bancroft, proving to be more than a family friend to Dustin Hoffman, The Graduate.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to begin our descent into Los Angeles.
Hey, you want to see how to chop an onion? Take a sharp knife, keep your fingers out the way, and get slicing. Don't go all the way through. Take a few horizontal cuts, and finish it off. And that way, you don't crack.
We've got loads more cooking tips for you on our program from the vegetable garden.
Hey, you want to see another one?
No, thanks.
Well, now, a summary of the Inside Ulster News. The Secretary of State, Sir Patrick Mayhew, says the Americans may have made a mistake in allowing Gerry Adams to raise funds and to meet the President. In a BBC interview, Sir Patrick said Sinn Féin hadn't shifted its position enough for such treatment from the American administration. Earlier, one of Sir Patrick's junior ministers, Malcolm Moss, said the IRA are still buying weapons. In Dublin, the Taoiseach, John Bruton, called on Sinn Féin to use his influence with the IRA to persuade them to make a gesture on the arms issue. Mr. Bruton made his comments as he arrived at a meeting of the Peace Forum, which discussed policing here. The parties repeated existing positions, with Sinn Féin alone demanding that the RUC be disbanded. Most of the others called for a major reform in the context of an overall settlement. The Ulster Unionists have described the framework document as a cunningly devised snare to entrap people into accepting the end of the Union. In a formal response to the document, they also call into question the government's assertion that the document underlines the principle of consent. An 8-month-old baby boy and his 63-year-old grandmother have been killed in a road accident in Portadown. Their car was involved in a collision with a lorry at the junction of the Tandragee Road and Mahon Road earlier this evening. The baby's mother, a front seat passenger, has been detained in hospital. The driver of the lorry wasn't injured. Belfast could be the home of Ireland's largest multi-purpose stadium if an application by the Royal Ulster Agricultural Society to the Millennium Fund for £30 million is successful. The Society is seeking 50% funding for the 10,000-seater arena to be sited at Balmoral Showgrounds next to the Hall. It's to be the venue for sport and entertainment, and included in the plans is an indoor running track. In the Republic, plans to make more information available about abortion have secured the backing of the Dáil. A government bill that would allow doctors to give their patients the addresses and phone numbers of abortion clinics in Britain and other countries was approved without a vote. It's due to be considered by the Senate early next week. That was the news. Now a look at the weather forecast. There'll be showers. Winds will gradually ease and temperatures will fall to around 4 or 5 degrees Celsius. Later there'll be sunny spells and a few showers, but by mid-afternoon most places will become dry with light to moderate northwesterly winds. Tomorrow's top temperatures will be around 9 Celsius. And those are the weather prospects. Now on BBC One, Richard Pryor needs all his skills as a conman to escape in critical condition. Well, in tomorrow night's film, Laguna Heat, a tough cop investigating the death of an old family friend uncovers a dangerous web of blackmail and murder involving his parents. That's at 12:40 tomorrow night, here on BBC One.
Oh look! I do really well till the fireball hits me. Suddenly I'm toast. Okay, it's easy. If your clothes are on fire, you stop, drop, and roll till the flames are out. Brilliant! Where'd you learn that? The fire brigade showed me it at school. Look, if your clothes are on fire, and roll.
That was a public... Well, now with the time just on 22 minutes to 3, we've come to the end of programmes for today here on BBC One Northern Ireland. Just a reminder, of course, that BBC Radio Ulster remains on the air right through the night until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.